So we got the control arm bushings done. We're going to do the wheel bearings. I'll show you how to do that. That is actually, on this car, it's a very easy job, but you might need some special tools. What you're going to have to begin with, where the hell it went here, you're going to have this guy. No doubt, this is a 46mm socket, and I can only find this cheaply in a 1-inch drive. So I bought a 1-inch drive to 1/2-inch drive adapter. So the socket on Amazon, I'll try to link it up in the description, was like $11 on Prime. And this other piece was like, the adapter is $7 or $8, I believe. If you get a 46 socket, because it's so big, already in a 1/2-inch drive, it was like $38. So this we're going to have to get the axle nuts off this car. There's no way around it. And we're going to do now, very next thing, it might actually be too much light for you guys, and move a couple things around here. On these E46s, this upper brake line, I always take something and tap it over just slightly. That allows you to get the impact on the bolts that hold the caliper in. On the top one. On the bottom one you get to, no problem. I caution you, don't bend it too far, just like 1/8 of an inch. You just take something and just tap down on it. If you get crazy with it, you're going to break it off, I promise you. Or if it's really rusty, don't do that. Just take it out with a wrench. But if you can't get it out with a wrench, if it's too tight, then you kind of have to do that. At any rate, we have both the bolts out of that, and we're going to use, actually I saw a 50s kid do this before. Use the S-hook to hook the caliper too. I think a lot of people do that. And I was going through stuff and I just happened to come across the S-hook. It looks like this one, I don't believe, is actually a paint hook. I think this is actually just a end off a bungee cord, the way it looks. So we're going to do that. We're going to hook it through, I don't know, somewhere in there, and we're going to clip it up on there. So once we do that, that allows us access to get the rotor off. That allows us to get our Allen bolt out. We're going to pull our cap off. That reveals the big nut. And hell, we're most of the way there at that point. Okay, so we just hung the caliper up there with the S-hook on the coil spring. Put our gloves back on. And these Allen head bolts that hold the caliper on have one in each caliper, or one in each rotor, not caliper. That's a number 9 Allen. So you just take a hammer. We'll just kind of tap it just a tiny bit to make sure it's seated well. If it's not seated well, it'll strip out. We'll take our Widowmaker here and our socket killer, and we'll just bump it a little bit and see. There we are. Come right out. Before we get all the way out, well, it doesn't matter. We're going to put it right back in anyway. We're going to pull this off. It's just full of rust and junk. There's no good way to get these caps off without bending it. And you have to go all the way around. If you try to get greedy and go too much on one hit, it'll just bend and not get you anywhere.
There we are.
And see how it's kind of bent up? That's not going to matter. We could put it back on there when we're done, and we can take the hammer and tap all that back flat. That really doesn't make any difference. Okay, so and we have our locking bolt here. Watch your eyeballs. I have my safety glasses on when I'm doing this. I broke off. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to get our impact. We're going to throttle it up to break everything, and watch how easy this comes off. Nothing to it. Okay. There's that. This one's crappy. The other one was like, holy crap, it was freaking terrible. Okay, let me see here. I think now let's get our slide hammer and rip that off. And I finally bought one of these 5-pound slide hammers. I thought they were still grossly expensive, but it was right at $40, though less than $40. And tends to come in pretty handy. It's got a bunch of attachments for it. I'll try to. Come out pretty easy. Nothing to it, huh? This one's actually really good. We're going to change it anyway. We're going to do the set. And, yeah, not bad at all. And one important thing to remember is, see all those like chunks of rust in there? You want to get that out because that's going to interfere with your ABS sensor right there. So maybe we'll get a microfiber, probably pick that up, blow it out with the air compressor, vacuum, whatever you want to do. Usually these microfibers have enough hooked material in them where they'll pull it all out just like that. Nothing to it. Now we have our race on here, and the problem is that this guy is not small enough to fit down in there. See? It hits. It just won't fit. So on the other side, what I did, you should have a wheel puller. I elected not to buy cheap wheel pullers, and I bought that monstrosity instead. But for pulling the races out, it won't work. So what I did for the other side, got the air hammer and vibrated the race, and while it's vibrating, I took a screwdriver and popped it out. It worked real nice. So let's try to do that one more time. Woo! Risky. Alright. There we are, we got it off. I mean, it's kind of ghetto to do it like that, but hey, whatever works. Probably the more sane way to do it would be to go ahead and buy the cheap wheel puller. Now, you guys say, well, I'm not going to go buy an air hammer just for that. This is only $13 at the Walmart for the Campbell Housefield. So you can't really say it's an expensive purchase. And you could probably use that to get this guy off too, to be honest with you. In fact, I know you could. You get behind it and hammer on that. So if you don't want to buy a slide hammer or wheel pullers, go buy a $13 air hammer and just use it. Okay, so let's reinstall. We're going to clean this up and maybe put a lithium grease on it, and I'll show you how to reinstall the new one. Okay, so we got the new one. And today we're going to use these Detroit axle bearings. We've had really good luck with Detroit axles. Some people love them, some people hate them. I know for the set it was like $40 or $45. And these, when you order these, make sure the hub comes on it. Otherwise you get to press the bearing in the hub, and that's a whole nother situation. So here's the whole works. Let's go ahead, before we go any further, kind of wipe this off in here. And we'll have to make sure whatever we bent here to go through and kind of bend it back out, whatever you bent in. The last thing you want is that rubbing on your wheel or on your bearing or whatever. Okay, and then one last look down the side. We'll clean if there's any other specks or rust in there. Wipe that down real good. We're going to take our lithium grease You probably don't have to grease this thing. We'll just, you know, do it a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to, we should be able to barely start it. Then we're going to take our same 46 socket, and that goes right on the inside of that bearing and hits that race. See, the teeth are big enough where it does hit it. We're just going to start off gently. Tapping it on there. Now we can more than get the nut on it. And the nut, how do I get the nut, not the race? The nut on more than pull it down. I'm going to take her hammer. Yeah, that's probably more than enough. As long as it gets in a little dimple a little bit, locks it on there. Now, we're done. It's all greasy, I can't turn it. Feels really good. We're going to reinstall our caliper. We're going to reinstall this. I'm going to do that right now. Hammer back out a lot of the damage you did at the cap. And now it looks pretty good, right? So, that's pretty much going to be it for the wheel bearing. The wheel bearing situation is pretty easy. And as long as it's not seized on, which it should not be. Yeah, so that's going to be all for the wheel bearing on the E46. Overall, not a difficult situation at all. Now, this car should be good to go. After everything we've done to it, the transmission, control arm bushings, wheel bearings, and I don't even remember all now. Bunch of little stuff. We have some interior things to sort out. We have some door panel things to sort out here. We might have some videos coming up on that. And you can see they're actually peeling off here where the airbags are. So I don't know, maybe we'll do a little Alcantara on that. Maybe we'll do something on it. I'm not really sure yet. But for now, we're gonna go drive this thing. If it drives good enough to make it to the inspection station or get inspected and get a license and get plates on it so we can drive it further than 5 miles from my house. Then we'll decide if I'm going to sell or keep it or whatever. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.